It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to today's first session. Congratulations to all of the award winners that were announced during the welcoming address. I'm extremely excited to introduce Maya Aharon, VP of Business Development at Turntide Technologies, formerly known as Software Motor Company. Maya, how are you today?
Thanks so much, Jessica. I'm excellent, and thanks for this award and this opportunity.
Oh, we are so thrilled to have you with us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the company?
Absolutely. So, Turntide is the most thrilling company I had the opportunity to work for. We're challenging the status quo with new type of electric motors that will change the world and help us control demand and reach the path for 100% renewable energy. How can you not be thrilled about working for Turntide every day with that?
I definitely get it. No, I definitely get it. Renewable energy is the future, and more companies are focused on that, which is fantastic. So over the next year, what do you see for Turntide?
So our mission is to replace all motors with optimal motor systems, and that's a huge mission. There are roughly 750 million motors in the world. I'd say that's conservative, and our mission is to replace them with better systems, ultra efficient systems. So Turntide has the most efficient motor in the world. It's not hard to convince people to take this on. It takes time, and we're chomping ahead and doing it one by one, million by million, and it's amazing. And between software, hardware, improvements, changes, the hardest thing is to change people's perspective and educate the market, because this is really the most compelling story. And once people are on board, it's it's a perfect fit. So we're going to replace all motors with all electric motors with optimal efficiency motor systems.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. And I love how enthusiastic you are about working for this company. You can tell just by the tone of your voice and what you have to say. So I am not going to take up any more of your time today, because I know you have a lot that you want to address with our attendees. Thank you for the attendees for joining our summit today. I will be seeing you throughout today.
So before I start, I'd like to say thank you to the Environment and Energy Leader Award Committee for this award. Thank you for contributing to our mission. We're working on the next generation of the electric motor. In essence, we're challenging the status quo by introducing the most efficient motor in the world and leveraging software to do it. I am so honored to be presenting our work today. So one small precursor, some of you here may know us as Software Motor Company or SMC. It's us, but we just rebranded to Turntide this week. So we will be Turntide by Software Motor Company moving forward. I may refer to us during the presentation as SMC. Please excuse me for that. We're also getting used to the new name. So at Turntide, we have a unique culture that includes specific agreements on communication. One of them is always starting with the why. So I'm going to go ahead with this presentation and start out with giving you that why context before I dive into what we're doing and how. It turns out that 45% of the world's electricity is consumed by electric motors. They move everything for us, and they're everywhere. It's not as obvious to us because, unlike lights, for example, that are in the room with us, motors, 750 million of them around us, are hidden from our day-to-day. But what really drives our why was the understanding that half of that electricity consumed by these electric motors is waste. The common AC induction motor, although a brilliant design designed by Nikola Tesla in the late 1880s, is still what we use today, a 130-year-old mechanical design that has been iterated upon so many times. The induction architecture, as good as it is, at this point has reached the maximum in terms of improvements with the specific design. So between inefficiencies, thermal losses, and just bad control strategies, half of the output of the vast majority of motors in the world is sadly wasted. And since we can't build enough renewable capacity to keep up with the increase in demand, it's clear by now that there really is no path to 100% renewable energy without modernizing the electric motor. So circling back to our why, We are on the mission to replace all electric motors in the world with optimal motor systems and keep fossil fuels where they belong. Luckily today, thanks to massive advancements in the electronics space, some of them, or the majority of them, driven by electric vehicles and phone industries, it's the first time that Moore's law applies to electric motors. And Turntide is really using that to challenge the status quo. So we've developed the digital motor system. We're essentially making motors intelligent, enabling them to be ultra efficient and maximum reliability. 80% of the design, by the way, of the SMC system is really in the power electronics that runs the motor. And by introducing software to the mix, these motors are now breaking through the efficiency glass ceiling. So we're calling this the Turntide ECM, or energy conservation measure. Like LEDs, it doesn't require any redesign. It's a complete drop-in, plug-and-play solution for maximum impact. The solution has 4 components, 4 parts. The motor and motor controller are designed as a unit and are designed as a closed-loop system. The motor is a switched reluctance motor, known historically, by the way, to be the most robust motor and most reliable electric motor designed. But to date, no one has really managed to control it at high efficiencies. So Turntide's take on the SRM is a patented high rotor pole switch reluctance motor, HRSRM. And this design change, combined with the motor controller software, provides the result of the most efficient motor system in the world. The motor controller, which is the brains of the system, controls the current switching between the poles. So before, in earlier switch reluctance designs, the rotation was mechanically commutated, making it impossible to control a higher number of poles. 80% of Turntide's innovation in this space is the ability to control the HRSRM rotation efficiently. So the secret sauce here is the microsecond optimization. The motor control software controls the current induction to the optimum time to minimize energy use. The supervisor is the integration component and gateway to the BMS and/or cloud. And then you have number 4 here, the cloud platform, which allows our customers and partners full visibility and access remotely from anywhere. And then, of course, allows us to remotely upgrade our systems over the air. So Turntide's software first approach took more than 15 years to develop. Yes, for those of you that are a bit more familiar with us, we were founded in 2013, so we're only 7 years old, but our company was founded by acquiring a set of patents from the Illinois Institute of Technology for the HRSRM design. So since its development, switch reluctance motors were used mainly in niche, high reliability applications like mining, nuclear reactors. Now, it should be used everywhere. So for years, switch reluctance motors were thought to be the next generation of common electric motors, but no one has to date been successful in commoditizing this technology, and for multiple reasons. The first question, by the way, I'm usually asked in this period or in this kind of time in the presentation is, so why Turntide and why now? And the answer is really a combination of industry developments and Turntide capabilities. So SRMs are controlled by very precise pulses of current. And to do that well, you need power electronics. And these extremely powerful power electronics components and functionality have really only been recently available in the last 5 years. There were really 3, I guess, so by taking the novel software first approach to SRM, Turntide was able to solve all the inherent problems that this system had. And there were really 3 core ingredients missing until now to make this happen. And Turntide has established over the past years exceptional excellence in these 3 areas. So the first one would be simulation-based design. Very precise geometry of the steel provides significant efficiency gains. So we leverage that method of design for every motor of Turntides. The second being power electronics. So mentioned earlier, semiconductors needed for this HR-SRM switching, high voltage and high current, are now available in pricing that matches the commodity markets, HVAC as an example. And the third one would be billion computes per second. And Turntide has, over the last few years, developed the algorithms to run the HR-SRM at the highest efficiency. So we talked about the actual motor itself and the system, but what I really like to say is if there is one thing that I'm hoping that you remember from this presentation is the top right graph on this slide. So the secret sauce of the solution is the ability to maintain a flat efficiency curve across a range of RPM and load, as opposed to induction motors that are designed to operate at a peak efficiency only at full speed, full load. Switch reluctance or high rotor pull, Turntide's high rotor pull switch reluctance is designed to keep efficiency high across the full operating range. As you can see, the yellow line on the chart on the graph above. When an induction motor is paired with a VFD, it starts to deviate from its rated efficiency point, and its efficiency drops very significantly as the speed and load are decreased. Now, to be fair, VFDs are definitely drivers for kWh reduction and savings, but they really only represent the tip of the iceberg. As an example, a VFD on a packaged R2U blower motor saves 20 to 25% in a good case scenario. A Turntide system reaches 45% reduction on average to start with. And the reason is the Turntide systems are just so much more efficient at the lower speed range, the savings really can add up very quickly. Of course, depending on the application they're serving. So we discussed efficiency quite a bit, and it's definitely a leading value proposition, but having a computer in the form of a motor controller attached to every motor allows additional values like connectivity and controls, for example. And since the digital motor is essentially a sensor on its own, sensing speed, torque, and other feedback straight from the motor, by design, the motor controller with its built-in I/O can handle complex controls and logics. Paired with our supervisor, it allows real-time IoT integration. A Turntide system can be programmed to control, for example, just the motor, a whole system, for example, a packaged rooftop unit, so it can undertake the responsibilities or the functionality of a RTU controller as an example of that, or other devices. So go-to-market strategy, where can you find, where can you implement, how are we selling this, how are we supporting this? So Turntide go-to-market strategy is twofold, in two parallel paths, I'd say. One is the OEM strategy, where we're partnering with equipment manufacturers to provide Turntide systems as integrated components designed in. Our first significant volume OEM is in the dairy ventilation space with VES Environmental Systems. These motors are custom made and tailor-made for these OEM solutions. The second avenue to market would be the bigger in size in terms of addressable number of motors. And install base, and that would be the retrofit market. HVAC and refrigeration would be the first retrofit market that we're going after. And we've specifically identified buildings and commercial real estate as the main target for the Turntide retrofit effort. With the help of early adopters and thought leaders like facility management giant JLL and other fantastic customers and innovation-led ESCOs, we're really preparing to scale on the retrofit side. So the second question I'm usually asked about now in the presentation or meeting is, considering the savings are actually achievable and you're real, what's the payback here? What are you talking about? So Turntide, to answer that question, is targeting a 1 to 3 year simple payback for retrofit projects. Since the savings are so much more significant with our systems versus what's on the market today, we've seen this become a reality time after time with our customers as well as third-party testing. This is an example of a business case of a 326 big box retail RTU retrofit project. And you can see whether we would be integrating with an existing VMS or even providing a subset via our cloud network. The payback periods are very compelling either way. So between roughly 1.43 and 2.5 years is a very compelling case study. This would be a typical Turntide projects in terms of size and impact. We, in these cases, usually work with ecosystem partners to both develop and execute these types of projects. Fortunately for us, our founder, Mark Johnston, has invested significant time and effort in the early stages of our company in third-party testing and validation. So over the course of the last 4 years, Turntide has been tested and verified by the DOE, the National Renewable Energy Lab, Energy Trust of Oregon, SoCal Edison, UC Davis, and many others. And these partners, or these third parties, have published numerous technical reports and journals, including full efficiency M&V comparisons between the Turntide system, AC induction motors with or without VFDs on different applications, HVAC and refrigeration included. So these reports have been a huge part of our success and have helped us with adoption of these technologies in the market space. And we will expand our horsepower and application range, and of course continue to collaborate with these groups to, of course, bring these tests to the market as well. As we move forward in time, we continue to collaborate with other utilities and other third-party testing, of course. So we touched on efficiency, we touched on IoT and the ability to leverage these connected motors for feedback. I want to talk about reliability. So an important unique attribute to the Turntide system, and SRM in general for that matter, is the reliability, the high reliability aspect. And as mentioned, these SRMs are the motor of choice for high reliability applications, mining as an example. The reason being is that the SRM design itself is simple and has less moving parts than an induction motor, thus less failure points. A few specific examples of that would be these three very common failure points for induction motors, which our system completely bypasses just because of the design of the system. So the architecture of switch reluctance does not require windings on the rotor. The rotor is in fact a steel lamp stack. And since there are no windings on the rotor, no current is induced to the rotor and no shaft current occurs. So that eliminates the need, for example, of expensive grounding rings and bearing replacements and maintenance over time. Also, the stator windings are wrapped around bobbins and are completely separate. So that mitigates any risk of phase-to-phase shorts since they never touch each other. Lastly, SRMs are inherently variable speed as they are electronically commutated. So there is very minimal stress and thermal loss when speed of the motor is reduced. Older induction motors paired with VFDs are prone to thermal stress and that leads to catastrophic failures. The Turntide system is designed to work in harmony for maximum life and maximum results. Where are we going with this is the third question, right? So our HRSRM and software stack really can be a fit for any application from a core technology perspective. Today, we're focusing heavily on HVAC and refrigeration with FAMs. Pumps are to follow around Q4 this year, and we will grow into new verticals in the near future. Of course, new applications. That is mainly led by our OEM team, and then, of course, adopted in the retrofit market thereafter. As mentioned, we're focusing on HVAC. Even more specifically, we're targeting the package rooftop units. When Turntide was established in 2013, the US DOE pointed the company to the direction of the medium-sized packaged RTU install base. And since HVAC represents roughly 40% of the electricity in the United States, It's been a leading unaddressed pain point for the DOE for years. And the potential for savings in this market segment is very, very large. So we're very excited to see this evolve quickly. Mostly, we're excited to collaborate with the industry, people like yourselves here in the room that push the boundaries on a daily basis by putting energy conservation at the highest priority. This is an example of an impact, right, of a case study. What does it look like using a Turntide solution on a package rooftop unit? So you can see very clearly the reduction in energy achieved by converting a blower motor from a constant speed to a variable. And look at the Turntide power draw reduction in the ventilation mode on the far right. In this mode, Turntide systems would run at a recommended 40% speed, unless programmed differently by the integrator or the end user. At 40% speed, Turntide draws roughly 70% less power than the existing constant speed baseline motor. Packaged RTU blower motors replacements are very straightforward, again, require no redesign, and savings are achieved from day one. So these types of installations are extremely impactful, and this is what it looks like from an operating range perspective. We've been very lucky to work with industry-leading partners and customers over the past few years. We're very excited about the trajectory of the company, and we're very excited to work with you all. One of the great things about working within Turntide is the thirst for feedback and the push for collaboration with the industry. As we grow, one of the key objectives, as a Turntider, as a company, and personally for myself, is to continue to learn and serve, or continue to learn from those that we serve, and continue to add value to these unique ecosystem partners and customers that we continue to acquire as we move forward as a company. I'd like to say thank you all for your time and interest. Thanks again so much to Environment Energy Leader Awards Committee for the opportunity to share here today. I'm Maya Aharon, Vice President of Business Development at Turntide. I'm more than happy and eager to answer any questions and keep the conversations going. So please feel free to reach out to us either directly to me or through our website. Have a fantastic